Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. So, what we have here, this is known as a returned GY6 150cc motor. It's also known as the short block. The GY6 was actually invented by Honda, and they put them in scooters all over the place. And our friends in China decided to clone it, and not only did they put it in scooters all over the place, remember, this is where your back wheel would go, like this would be your brake, right? You would put a hub on here, then the back wheel directly to it, and the motor would pivot here, and you would have your back shock here. So once our friends from China got their hands on this design, though, they started putting it in carts all over the place. Typically Hammerhead type carts. So that's a little bit of the history and so forth behind the engine. I specifically use the word returned. There's a person on eBay who seems to get these things. They're sent out, I mean, you know, like in the box with, you know, foam and the whole bit. So the person seems to get, and he seems to deal with a lot of China stuff. Some of it returned, some of it not. Anyway, for some reason this was shipped to someone and they sent it back. Why did they send it back? Supposed to be a running engine. There's not supposed to be any issue like that. In the description they said this one was missing the carburetor. Well, missing the carburetor is no big deal. First of all, you could buy them for about 20 bucks, plus or minus a little bit. And secondly, I'd rather have a missing carburetor than a damaged case somewhere. So anyway, here it is, and I'm just looking it over, and what I'd like to do with this is put it right on the red cart. And specifically what I'm looking over is this area here, and this bolt size. And according to what I'm looking at, I'm thinking the whole chain, the sprocket and reverse and so forth should slip right on here. I should be able to bolt this engine up, install the carburetor and the wiring, and I think it all should be good. What's strange about this one, and I don't have a photographic memory, but at times I can remember pictures quite well. He had a batch of them for sale, and on this one the carburetor was supposed to be missing, which it appears to be. I don't see the carburetor in here anywhere. I mean, it came with the rest of the junk, but he also showed in the pictures the wiring harness was a bit butchered, and I don't see a butchered wiring harness in this case. So that's a little strange to me. The this was, as a matter of fact, all the connectors were off and they were kind of messed up. So anyhow, this might not be exactly the engine he sold on eBay. I mean, it'll be fine. If not, I'll contact him and say, yo, you sold me a pile of bones and I wanted an engine. This was I think it was $95. The auction price was $95, and it was $55 or $60 to get it shipped. So it was a $150 engine. Give or take a little bit, that's about half price what you would buy a new one for. They are really nice engine, very compact. Depending on what you read and where you read it. They're 8 horsepower, give or take one. I mean, some of them are 9, 9.5. Some of them are 7, 7.5. So call it 8 horsepower, give or take a little bit. This is what I would consider a better one because the case is made out of metal here. Some of them, the outer cover, especially for the go-karts, they just turn this into a cover and make it out of plastic. I'd rather see it made out of metal. If this is plastic, then your only backbone is here, and that's, I mean, maybe you could get away with it on a go-kart, maybe not, right? Depends how hard you run it. So, anyway, take a look at this whole bit, and particularly this area here. Let's take a quick walk out to the, I keep wanting to call it a Sidewinder. You guys remember the name of these carts sooner or later. Yeah, as we go through and walk by all the junk out here. Yeah, for this guy here, right, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to just undo this bolt and slide this assembly right on, and then I'm all good, right? Then I just swap the engine out, and then I have a brand new engine with the right gears, right place, and everything all set up on this, right? And that being the case, call the engine 160, and what did I spend on this? 265. So I have a few bucks into it, but it's a nice looking cart and it'll have a brand new engine on it, so I'll be okay. Not great. That takes me what, to 4 or 5, no, to 3, 4 and change, 4 1/4. Call it 4 1/4. This isn't a bad looking cart for 4 1/4. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. Especially once it's all put together, if it's running real nice and so forth. Once I do that, notice how this one has all the covers real nice. I have a couple of other engines that I could use pieces on. So there we are. Anyway, so if anybody wants one of these GY6 engines, I kind of like them. They got the torque converter built right in. You could kind of bolt on an external reverse. You know, I mean, they're cool. If one sees them in parts, the reverse gear is really what's worth some heavy money. That piece I just showed you that I wanted to bolt onto this guy, right? I think the reverse gear alone on eBay used is over $100. So if you guys see them lying around, buy them. The only bad thing about these engines, or any engine, it's a lot of money to ship. So like if anybody has a Honda engine and they say, hey Harvey, if you just pay the postage, I'll ship it to you. Well, if it's $50 to $100 to ship it to me, yeah, I like Honda engines, but if it's like in the land of Predator, right, for $100 I could buy a new one and you could still have your engine, right? So that's where it gets tough. The shipping on all this stuff is really expensive these days. Well, these days, every day, even back in the olden days, I guess it's always been expensive to ship stuff. If anybody's done anybody near the Hudson Valley has swapped out one of these engines and they put, I don't know, a Predator or a big Honda or whatever into their cart and they don't need the engine anymore, if I could drive out to you without too much time, I don't know, could you guys see that copter? Let me know, and perhaps we could get a visit out of it, make some video and have some fun. Okay, everyone, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. You really don't know how many you're getting, so make sure you get out and have some fun. Bye now.